What's it like filming out here in Broken Hill?
It's beautiful, mate.
It is.
Red Earth.
It's fantastic, yeah. Very earthy, very a world of its own.
What drew you to Locusts?
I got to work with Justin Rosniak.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I got to work with Daisy as well,
Yeah.
too, so yeah, you know, it's a genre piece, so it's sort of reminding me, made me think of Wake and Fright and all of those Aussie films with these landscapes and stuff like that, and I've always wanted to be a part of something like that, so now's my chance.
Great script.
Yeah.
Great.
Fantastic, yeah, it's great.
Anything else you want to add?
Nathaniel Dean's over.
Yeah, and Matty Dean, and the rest of the cast are all pretty keen to have a chat to camera.
Steve the Marquand's
Yeah.
somewhere.
I'm Steve Marquand, I'm playing Kane in this movie.
How's it all going?
Yeah, pretty good. This is only second day shooting, but it's been going pretty well so far, I think. Early days yet. But look at the location, man. Look at this. Where else would you rather be than out at Broken Hill? It's a great town, great people. Funny thing about Broken Hill, I was out here in '96 doing an episode of Big Sky, and it hasn't changed at all. You walk down the main drag and around the other streets, and it's like a time capsule. It's just exactly the same as it was 20 years ago. It's amazing. The people are so friendly. We've been really well looked after, and looking forward to the next few weeks. A bit of a juxtaposition. You've got this beautiful, yet stark, yet quite vicious landscape, I suppose, and then you've got these 3 or 4 mugs running around terrorising the lead actor. So I think it comes together beautifully. You're right there, mate. But yeah, this is just one of the best locations I've ever worked on, and I've worked on a few.
Yeah, pre-production and pre-production really extended out for about 6 months. It was quite a long process, but as we started to get close to production, this kind of wave of energy and enthusiasm started to materialise in the cast and crew. And by the time we got to shooting, I mean, most of us were city dwellers, and this is really an adventure to go out into Central Australia and shoot a crime thriller in the desert. So by the time we got to shooting, there's this contagious wave of energy and excitement to get out there and get started.
It's just beautiful, beautiful countryside. Like, where else would you be, mate? I love this. It's great to get away from the city and come out here and work with, you know, really cool guys who you haven't met or ever worked with before. They really put you in your place. No, it's great. Oh, hello. You want to come in here and talk to me while we're doing this? What I do want to say about this is that this is what we need to be doing more of with people writing stuff in Australia. Like, I understand we go overseas, I go overseas, we all do, but we've got to start doing more of this and supporting this, right? Like, we have amazing writers here and amazing actors here, and new actors up and coming as writers, so we should be doing a lot more to support the Australian film industry.
Yeah, and in the regions as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. It makes
such a big difference out here.
It's a huge difference. Like, it brings life to the town. It brings a bit of interest, money. This is what we should be doing more of in Australia. You know, like, all the mines are dried up. It's a lot different around here now. A lot of people hurting.
Yeah, the concept is something that's probably been in my mind for 20 years. I spent 5 years writing and developing the film to the screen, but the seed of the idea really came from my upbringing in northwestern remote New South Wales. I grew up on the land on a property in a place called Gurry. You know, some of my earliest memories are the locals and the farmers in our community really suffering in the wake of the drought. As we're seeing today in regional Australia, it's the same effect. And fast forward to present day, I'm a radiologist by day, and we've seen the boom-bust impact of the mining boom in regional communities in far north Queensland. And there are very real issues like unemployment and you know, ice addiction and desperation in these small regional communities that you'll see on screen. And so these are some of the themes that we explore in the story. Yeah, I've been pitching the story around the world in various places like the AFM for a while in script format, and there'd been a lot of interest in it, but it hadn't been picked up. So made a conscious decision to develop this film to the screen. And I connected with Heath, our director, at the Gold Coast Film Festival in 2016, and his film Broke, which is a great little film. He was doing a film festival circuit at that stage. And he seemed like an interesting and talented guy. And so we started having a conversation about filmmaking and independent filmmaking and the struggles that he in particular had been through in his journey as a filmmaker. We'd both grown up in the 70s and 80s and had both been impacted by the classic 1970s and 80s Ozploitation films, and so we started a conversation about developing this film to the screen with flavours of those 70s and 80s genre films. I scouted Australia quite extensively through development and pre-production. I went to Winton, which is an amazing place in far north Queensland. We came very close to making the film in Winton. Also Coober Pedy, which was just phenomenal. Coober Pedy is kind of like visiting Mars in a way. So in the end, Broken Hill was the destination of choice for the film, mostly because of logistical reasons and easy access. But of course, there's so many film-friendly people in town and amazing landscapes. Yeah, this is my first film. I wrote and produced the film. I cast it and supervised post-production, and I really oversaw the project from concept right through to delivery and marketing. So it's been an interesting journey as a first-time filmmaker to go through that process and every step along the way. And I think as a writer, which is kind of my first and foremost interest, I think as a writer working in the editing suite with Romain Bongan and Scott Gray, who is our senior editor. Scott's one of the most talented editors in the country. He's been nominated for a couple of ACTRA awards. I think as a writer, that's really helped me see the other side of the creative process. I would encourage any budding filmmaker to go through the whole process if they get the opportunity to do so. In pre-production, we went to Broken Hill for a few days, and I gave Chris Bland, our cinematographer, amazingly talented guy, I gave him an RE and a four-wheel drive, and I said, go out in the desert and shoot landscapes and sunsets and sunrises until you can shoot no more. And Chris, I think, really took the bull by the horns, and I think he had a great time doing that and saw that as a fantastic opportunity.
To make one call.
No special privileges.
Oh, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you people? You dopey.
Angus gave me a call probably about 6 months prior to production, and he told me this story about two brothers with an abusive father set in Broken Hill. One brother that had stayed in the town and had fallen on his sword, just got out of prison, had a drug alcohol problem, and the other brother comes back in, and it was about the way that these two brothers might try to reconnect. What attracted me to the role of Tyson was it's always a great challenge to play someone who maybe from a distance has no redeeming features.
Come on, Tice.
What was really going on with Dad? Hey? There's no furniture in the living room. That's where I learned to fight.
It's an extraordinary cast to work with, and you know, the idea of going to Broken Hill and, you know, to be shooting with a Mustang driving on the same roads that Mel would have, like, you know, at sunset with the dust flying through, you know, the air is like, what ain't to like about that? Oh, it's amazing. I mean, everyone should go to Broken Hill. I think one of the side things for this film is that hopefully the government, you know, gives more money for local film to go out to regional areas and shoot in these incredible locations and utilise Australia. And just so much talent in the acting. So, you know, Ben and I have been friends for years, and it's a real thrill to work with him, and you know, Justin and Steve and Jess and Ken and Al Dukes, and you know, it's just a dream, really.
She is tough. She's a baller. She knows what she wants. And circumstantially, she kind of got stuck in this world that I think ultimately, growing up, she dreamed to get out of. So she is a mother, and she will do anything for her children. It's kind of survival of the fittest, essentially, in this wild, weird, kind of outback world. Yeah, so there is an environmental kind of theme throughout this. Kind of the weird dichotomy in Australia between, you know, trying to conserve our beautiful natural landscape and also that of the mining industry and industry generally here. And it kind of all comes to a bit of a head.
I remember Mum used to take us up to Emu Crest. You know, on a clear day, you could just see forever, you know.
Yeah, well, that's all shut down now. Just another decommissioned mine. And all those blokes they laid off, they've got a lot of spare time in their hands.
But yeah, it's so rugged out there, and the people are so friendly, and it was really fun as a crew. We all got to hang out there, and you know, there's like 2 pubs or something, so we spent a lot of time after hours as well, hanging out and bonding. And
the landscape does half the job, so yeah, newly shaved head as well, which is a new thing for me, so, but I'm kind of liking it. It's good. Yeah, beautiful town, great people, loving it, really enjoying it. Need to search you.
A couple of years ago, actually, I made a feature film of first called Broke, which did quite well. And one of the screenings we had was in the Gold Coast, and that's where I met Angus, who's the writer and producer of the film. And he pitched me an idea, and I was like, oh no, who's this guy? He's a doctor, and okay, yeah. And I grew up in the Big Smoke, so I hadn't really had a first-hand knowledge of what life was like in the outback and mining towns. And I'd seen that some of the landscapers sort of interesting soils for a sort of thriller genre film, which is sort of topical and had some political issues. And his script sort of happened to, echo those sentiments. And then I thought, oh, hold on a second, this is some kind of, fortuitous alchemy of sorts, and sort of snowballed from there.
You're early, Mr. Black.
Who are you?
And it's a story about a successful on the surface, successful mid-30s entrepreneur who's forced to return back to his hometown after 20 years when his father is killed at the opening of the film. And he reconnects with his estranged brother. But all is not what it seems to be on the surface. Yeah, it's really a story of redemption and survival, and it's about ordinary people who are forced into extraordinary situations.
100 grand. 2 days.
well, a lot of classic cinema happening with this film in terms of landscape. There's a lot of wide screen we use, especially in the outback, kind of like those classic cowboy films. So it was important to capture that mystery, but also that sense of realism, and so we follow, we kind of see the world and the story and the narrative happen through the lead character's eyes. So that was.
What are you guys doing out here?
Just a bit of vermin control. Hey, Dovo.
Oh, yeah, mate, vermin control. You know, you don't keep the bastards out, well, they'll take over, mate.
But just visually in the backdrop is it's a character in itself, and just seeing for miles with that desolation, and then you've got these amazing sort of mountains of sand and then desert terrain. We juxtapose that beauty with the horror that's taking place within the story. Ben, our lead's just been rock solid from day one. He's really sort of bringing it in this film, and he's in every scene. So he runs this gamut of emotions, and we make him do some crazy stuff, like running through the desert in his underwear almost. So.
Yeah, Ben Geurens played the lead character alongside Jessica and Nathaniel. Ben's a very talented guy. He's doing some great stuff in the US. He's on one of my closet favourite shows called The Good Place, which is a cool little comedy. But yeah, he's a really passionate and committed guy, and it was a very tough shoot for him. You know, we really put him through hell for the shoot, but he was up to it. You know, we were shooting long shooting days in sub-zero conditions quite frequently, out on desert highways and remote areas. I think Ben felt quite connected to this sort of fish out of water, Jimmy Stewart type character, you know, a stranger in a strange land thrown into this strange and dangerous outback world.
Hey, boy! I need to see your boss right now.
Oh, don't be f***ing rude, Caleb. Show our guest inside.
There's a real sort of beautiful moment in the movie near the opening where they sort of first reconnect, and it's at sunset at Mundy Lookout, which is just an amazing, beautifully epic place, and the two brothers have this vulnerable moment, and that's kind of the real intimate moment before the craziness sort of takes place in the film. And
remember our mum used to paint the sky?
Yeah. A guy who is struggling in life and trying to sort of fix that, and in doing so he has to go back to his past that he's run away from, you know, and so that deals with his relationship with his brother, with, you know, an ex-love, and his family and his father.
Have you grown a set of balls, boy?
Because all the cast are wonderful, and Broken Hill, so much has been filmed there, obviously like Mad Max and all the famous films, but it's just ridiculously Australian out there, and you know, the just, you know, driving along and there's emus in the street, and you know, like yeah, just being out there filming all day, driving fast cars is pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Just that idea of isolation, and it's terrifying, you know, when you can't run anywhere. So yeah, I think it works well.
Yeah, we're about to go for driving the Mustang.
Mate, I can't wait.
Actually, honestly, shooting Broken Hill, it was an experience on its own, but growing up watching all the Mad Max films, you know, you kind of see the landscape and see some of the great cinematic areas they shot there, and you're like, I've always wanted to go there. So it was a great experience to be able to fly down there and work on Locusts. And the big studio films that I'm used to working on, like Aquaman, we had a great stunt team on, but then being able to transition and come back to a small indie film and be able to work with some of your best mates, it goes back on being able to deliver a great performance to give a great result rather than doing a good performance and hoping CGI can fix the rest. I was lucky enough to double both lead actors with both Ben and Nathaniel, so doubling both the brothers and the different ways they move, their body types. The fight scenes we did for Ben, or that I did for Ben, were brutal at times, and for Nathaniel, well, Nathaniel's character I can kind of relate to. He's just a rough and tumble guy, so.
Finding the car was a bit of a journey in itself, to be honest. I spent a lot of time scouting Central Australia in pre-production for vehicles and locations, and we needed a classic 1970s V8 to connect the protagonist with his old man's past. It was sort of the bridge between him and his old man. And of course finding such a vehicle in Central Australia is next to impossible, but I was fortunate enough to stumble upon this beautiful 1972 Marquand V8 Mustang in this lovely gentleman's garage in Broken Hill.
When the movie comes out, it's called Locusts. Come and see it.